Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our Hijack Season 1, Episode 2 reaction and review. This episode is titled 3 Degrees. Can we all just agree now that Hijack is stupendous entertainment? It is
Oh,
incredible,
absolutely. It
dramatic.
is.
There are still moments that make no sense whatsoever, but I think that is a part of the charm of this show. You don't think about it. You're just on the plane. You're playing the game with Idris Elba, going back and forth. Like, also, this is high on the list of things that don't make a whole lot of sense. You're able to play this game with like the pilot Robin while you're on the plane while the hijackers are roaming around.
Yeah, it's okay. We're gonna get into some of the ridiculousness of this, but I mean, overall, it's only been 2 episodes for me. Matt has seen all of the
Yeah,
show. I have only seen these 2 episodes. I don't really know anything about it, so I'm going into this not knowing too much about it, which is fun. I mean, this is a fun ride, but yes, you have to suspend a little bit of disbelief because what? Like,
that's
how are they allowing this to happen? Like, are these people who are hijacking this just like dum-dums? Like, I don't understand.
this.
Like, everything felt so planned out in this
Yeah,
first episode by these people taking over this plane that I'm shocked that they're listening to Sam at all. Like, I
yeah.
know that they're really building it up of why they would, but that they're really listening to this guy at all, that they're veering so far off their own plan to the point that Sam has just built up enough goodwill that he looks at them and puts on his headphones and pulls out a game, and they're just like, no problem. You got us, we got you. You want to play some pirate game? Cool, man. I'm just like, what? What are you guys doing?
But he is a negotiator. He gets things done. Insert dramatic music here.
They don't need
See,
him. They had a plan.
okay, this is a weird tinfoil hat slash hot take here that I'm gonna say is that I think it's better that Hijack doesn't try that hard to be that accurate because let's just say put this in a show like Mad Men, for example, where everything is like so meticulous
Yes.
and there's such like a dedication to detail and realism and all that that it makes it so that you find yourself second guessing everything while you're watching it and just being like, okay, was that realistic for the time period? Is that real? It's like because Hijack, it's just like, there are no rules. You just kind of roll with the punches, and there is a freedom that comes with that I find to be very thrilling.
Yeah, there is a freedom that comes with that that's refreshing. I mean, to not have to we cover a lot of really heavy shows
Yeah,
here like Silo and From, and it's just like there's so much theory and everything is very well thought out and tied to something
yeah.
else. Something really small that you see is going to come back into play later, and in a way that all makes sense. That's not the case with this show. Like, things will come together, I'm sure, but yeah, Sam getting to play that video game with the pilot, I was just kind of like, that would never happen.
Well, we will get more into everything going on in the sky, on the ground, all of these new people. Alice, the magical, all powerful super heroine who is the only person who can ever figure out that there's something going wrong on Kingdom 29. We will get into all of this.
Hey, the Dubai employee, he figured it out as well. I mean, like, we lost him, but he figured out something was going on. He knew from the beginning. It was his birthday, but he was like, something is happening.
What a terrible birthday Dubai guy has. Like, really, RIP. Well, before we go forward, join our Patreon. We've got a link for that in the description below. Every Tuesday night, we hang out on there with all of our patrons. We chat about Hijack,
Yep.
all sorts of fun TV. It is a great time. We hope you guys check that out. The link is in the description. And
Yep.
thank you so much to everyone who has.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let's just start here with the tragic, sad case of Dubai air traffic controller man.
Yeah, I was really into his character because he was the only person that was kind of like, it's a false alarm?
Yeah,
Like, how does that happen? Like, is nobody think that something else might be going on here? Oh, the pilot said it was okay. What? And so by the time we ended up with Alice coming in, who is the British side of things, air traffic employee, she right away was digging into the same things he was, except even deeper, where she was just like, false alarm. Like, why would that happen? Like, that's not a thing that happens. Oh, ha ha ha! Don't worry about it. It's a false alarm. It just feels like a lot of the employees were just kind of like, man, we've been doing this job for so long. Nothing happens. Like, let's just keep it moving. Everything is fine. We don't want to do the paperwork. I'm sure it's fine. Like, what are the chances of this happening? 100% in this case. But, like, in general, they're probably like, this doesn't happen that often. If he says nothing's happening, nothing's happening. But for me, I just feel like people in that job probably have a protocol that whether or not you're
Yeah.
like later, like, haha, got you, and there's nothing happening up here, that it doesn't matter. That the protocol is if you call in something like that, then you've called in something like that. Doesn't matter what you say afterwards, you're probably lying because somebody's making you say something different.
There are a lot of people in Hijack that suck at their jobs. Like, let's just be very clear about this from the get-go. The fact that we have two people really on completely different parts of the world who are just like, maybe there's something not right about this within air traffic control.
Yeah, and the same with Daniel. I mean, Marcia got that text
Yeah.
and she, told Daniel, who's her boyfriend, like, listen, this is, seems like something's pretty serious here. And Daniel's like, let me look into it for you. Makes a call. Hey, can you check this out for me? Yeah, no problem. Oh, false alarm. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. That it's just kind of like, what?
It's there are a lot of people, and I think they do symbolize this a lot with the guy playing solitaire, where it's just like,
Yes, they do. That people are there just to get their paycheck and move on, that it's not that exciting of a job, that things don't typically go awry with this job.
now I think here is how committed our dearly departed friend from Dubai here was to get answers. Like, he was willing to make a house call here,
Yeah.
like going all the way to Neela, calling her after work. She's not answering.
Yeah, he noticed that she left her shift early. Things were looking shifty. And I mean, we all kind of can assume that she had some sort of role in this. I mean, she did.
Yeah.
And, he gets to her apartment and there's like these cleanup guys that are also really shifty, being like, we're just cleaning up. We're just
Yeah.
cleaning up. Like, well, what's the big deal? We're house cleaners. It's just kind of like, okay. Yeah, she's upstairs all the way in the back. At that point, I'd be like, okay, something is really wrong. Like, you know exactly where she is. Like, why would you know that? You're just cleaning the house.
This is the part in the horror movie when, like, the guy at the chainsaw is like running around downstairs and you don't leave the house. I'm just like, at this point, I'm just like, come on, man, let's just leave the house. Things are a little bit too awry. And then, of course, we have, the complacent air traffic control people with the solitaire. Can we now talk about the complacent cleanup crew that's just like, can you die over there because it's easier to clean you up after the fact?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is connected to anything. I haven't seen the rest of the show or anything like that, but it was interesting that they showed them dead, so we know that they're dead, but they did take a minute to show like this single bullet fall to the ground. We know that Neela is connected to what's going on, or at least I feel very confident. They don't need to spell it out. Like this
Yeah.
cleanup crew is not here for no reason. And because they took this minute to show this bullet fall to the ground, it reminded me of what we just saw in the premiere where this young girl finds a single bullet in the toilet. And I was just like, oh, it's kind of weird. Like maybe they're just trying to show that they've got cleanup crews doing whatever. And that they're not that great at their job, clearly, because now they have an extra body.
Hey, it's the recurring theme once again that the only person who's good at their jobs, apparently, other than Alice and her dearly departed friend from Dubai, is Sam Nelson. He closes
right.
the deal. Now, okay, so the real thing about like this show, this episode, where I was when I first saw the end of it, like the big burning question I had, and it's what is the motive behind all of this? Because let's just map out the scenario here for a moment. These hijackers, they clearly planned things out to the extent that they had a security person on the ground and on it.
Yep.
That's really clear. They had a plan entering the plane. They had a number of people in different places of the plane that were all established as a part of it.
Yeah, they had a cleanup crew on the ground cleaning up any loose ends.
Yeah, like these are people who are all dressed very discreetly. not to look like they're any sort of threat to anybody else. They're all meant to blend in with the surroundings. Like there's clearly a lot of this planning went into it. But then there's also the other aspect of it. It's like you do something like this in the air, there's no going back from any of this. Like, you're either going to die, you're going to get arrested on the ground. Like, there is no favorable outcome for these people in the air. So, why would you be willing to do all of this? And yeah, you've told some of these people, you'll be on the ground in a handful of
Sure.
hours or whatever. And,
Sure, Jan.
yeah, if you are telling the truth, and that is a really, really big if, what are you taking this plane for that at the end of the day, you're going to have everybody land and everybody is still going to be okay, and the flight presumably is still going to take the same amount of time it would otherwise?
Yeah, it's very strange. Like they haven't really revealed anything. They haven't revealed that they're trying to bring the plane somewhere else. That at this point doesn't seem to be on the radar, but I mean they did have to move 3 hours earlier than they were supposed to. So maybe whatever's supposed to happen, it's still a little ways out. We're not at that point yet.
Yeah.
But like what I'm not understanding is why in the world they're listening to Sam at all. Like I get it. Okay, the plan had to move forward a little bit. They have enough people there that they're able to deal with this situation until they can get to that 3 hour mark where it was all supposed to actually move on. They just have to keep everybody quiet for 3 hours. Like stop. Like they don't need Sam for anything.
I really like the thought that kind of came into my head is, are they just letting Sam think that he has more sway over them than he really does?
But for why? For what reason? Like why? It just doesn't make any sense to me that all of a sudden Sam is this guy who's like, I'm with you guys, man. Whatever it is you want to do, I don't know what it is. You could be trying to kill us all, but like I'm here to die then. It's just like, okay, stop. Like, yeah, you're okay. I want to get home to my family. Whatever you need, I'll help you out. He doesn't know what they need. It could be we're all going to die. You're not going to get there. So I don't need your help.
Unless Sam, in his ultimate tinfoil hat, unless Sam is in on it, unless Sam is a part of the operation the whole time.
Well, it's interesting because we have seen some of the other airplane passengers being like, this guy has totally gone over to the other side.
Yeah, like this show wants you to be asking these questions, and I think they're good questions to ask and think about at this point, because if all of these other people could all be secret hijackers and be aboard this plane and have everything go awry, like who's to say Sam couldn't be? Who's to say that there aren't other people on the plane who are still waiting and waiting? And there's still a lot of these possibilities that are being raised.
For sure.
And like after 2 episodes, like I remember thinking that, okay, I really thought that they must be trying to fly somewhere else. And I know it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense with what we're seeing, because it's like the flight plan is only like a couple degrees off, they said, or whatever. But it was, I still had this thought of like, okay, well, why are you flying to the same exact place? Why did you need to take this plane over? I mean, I think maybe another lesson that comes out of this is, I don't know anything about hijacking. That's probably a good thing, but it's just like, I know in a lot of these shows, they try to encourage you, think like a criminal. What would the bad guys do? And I'd say, I'm just like, maybe I'm just not, this is a good thing too. Maybe I'm not a bad guy. Maybe I just can't think like a
You're
criminal
not a
in this
bad
situation.
guy.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, because it was very specific that it was supposed to happen at the 3 hour mark.
Yeah.
It feels like they were going to take the plane somewhere else and that they just hadn't gone there yet and that they just wanted it to stay on course until it had to not be on course anymore. And then that would be the time that they would move it. But this plan that Sam came up with the pilot to get him back into, the pit to be able to move it just enough, which is enough to signal back down to the ground that something is wrong. And Alice has picked that up to be like, okay, something is wrong. We got to move on this.
That was really cool. As much of a hard time as I give Hijack for being like silly at times, and I think when it really nails something, it really nails something, and that was a great way to have that happen. So you're building up all this escalation, and like even some other parts of the episode that are just like, of course this happened. It was still really entertaining. Like, of course you've got like the couple of guys who are like, we got this. Let's do it. Let's take down the hijackers. And it's like two people versus a number of people
I
with
know.
weapons. Like, of course this was going to be how it was going to end, but
Of course.
it makes perfect sense that you would have a couple of people who actually think that they can throw on the cape and be superheroes and save the day, only for it to not happen.
And it does make sense why some of the passengers are starting to think that Sam has just turned. Like, we saw all of that sort of happen. The gun goes, Sam pick up the gun, give it back to Stewart, and, you know, the big boss hijacker be like, here you go. I told you, I'm on your side, sort of thing. Handing him the note to be like, the pilot's a problem. Like, this is why. Like, let me help you. Like, I get all that, but what I don't get why Stewart is caring about this at all. He's got a plan. He's got enough people to get this plan to go through. He doesn't need Sam. So what is Sam offering him except to give him his gun back?
I think Stewart needed to go to some more bad guy leadership training or something like that, because I am afraid of Stewart in the sense that I can tell he is a threatening individual. He is dangerous.
Yeah, but he's also a really smart guy.
Yeah.
I mean, they laid that out in that first episode where he did the research to know that Robin and Colette were together, that he could use her to get him to open that door. Like, this isn't just sort of a like, oh, we just decided to do this. Like, it was very well thought out. That at this point, I'm just kind of like, why isn't Stewart just tossing Sam out the plane to be like, you know what? You're messing around with what we're doing. We have a plan. We have enough people to get our plan together. We certainly don't need you. Stop talking. Oh, you're gonna not stop talking? You know, take a skydiving lesson with no parachute.
I just doubt his leadership skills. He is very smart, but his communication.
So far, he has been laid out, at least in that first episode, to be very smart, to have put all this together. This episode, I'm more like, I don't really understand what Stewart's gaining from this relationship with Sam.
And I don't know I mean, it's all tied to the motive, right? Like, I don't understand what the motivation is for these other hijackers who are a part of this. You know, like, why is the female hijacker doing all of this? And it's like,
why are any of them doing this? Terry Marcus, why are you here? Like, I don't understand it yet. And with there only being like, what, 7 episodes? I feel like by episode 2, there should be a little more hints towards what's going on. I mean, there's not that much time.
Here's what else I do really like about this show, and this is just like perfect like bait for a lot of us who like watch The Good Wife. Archie Punjabi shows up, and I'm just like,
I know.
Yes, it doesn't matter what Archie Punjabi is like doing. It's just like credibility. Another awesome person who we know from doing awesome things, and now she is just like one of these forces on the ground looking into Kingdom 2-9 after some conversations with Dan. Now, like,
well, sort of. I mean, she also came back and was like, false alarm, let me get out of this traffic. I'm not really paying attention. Also, stop calling me with your girlfriend problems, Daniel, because you and we've broken up. This is not an appropriate conversation. Don't call me with this nonsense. And then we have also, when it all sort of comes back, where it's like, oh yeah, you know, I dug into it and, you know, he's fine. Everything is fine. It's all come back fine. That then Marsha's just like, I knew Sam would do something like this to me. This is why, like, you know, he plays these games. And it just feels like even Marsha would know him better than this. Like, she did say he wouldn't have put this out there if it wasn't like for real. And Daniel repeated it as well. This seems like this would be pretty real. Like, even Sam being like, you know, just basically just in case I don't make it, you know, I'll always love you, that's a goodbye message.
Hijack is just it's such a unique show, because basically how I would describe it, it's like the Trojan horse comes in and everybody's like, oh, look how pretty and cool this Trojan horse is, and you forget about everything that's within it. It's like Hijack, you just look at it like, it's a really entertaining show. It's fun. It's awesome. It's got great actors. sure, there's a possibility that it starts to unravel and all these problems like crawling out of it that don't make any sense.
I'm just glad that we do have some people on the ground that are actually looking into it, and that there's starting to be less of the people just saying that it's a false alarm. It was so weird to me in that first episode that a pilot would call in and say, there's a problem, and then call back and be like, oh, don't worry, it was just a false alarm. Like, it's, it's no big deal that anyone would ever believe that.
The other best thing is just that the stakes do feel legitimately high on this show.
Yeah, they do.
Especially for all these people who are in the air, just because like there are so many different ways that this can go wrong. And because of the way that this show is sort of set up, where it's like, a 7-hour real-time flight. I mean, of course, we all want to presume that Idris Elba's going to be okay because, he's freaking Idris Elba.
And he needs to come back for season 2 when there is one. I hope there is one.
We need the re-hijack or whatever it's going to be.
Extra hijack.
Yeah.
Hijack 2.
Hijack 2. The train gets it. No, but no matter what it is, like we all want, more of that. So we could probably assume and hope that he's going to be okay. But like, everybody else? No, you can't. I wouldn't count on anybody else.
I'm not invested in anybody else. That's fine.
Wait, you're telling me you're not invested in big bad Stewart and his questionable leadership?
Or questionable Robin? Like, no, thank you.
No. Okay, well, that is our take on Hijack Season 1, Episode 2. You know how a lot of times when you're growing up, there's like, this is the song of the summer? Hijack is the show of the summer.
100%.
You get into it, you enjoy it, you talk about it. But all right, well, if you guys want to talk about Hijack more, and why wouldn't you? Join our Patreon. We've got that link in the description below. Thank you to our patrons for watching, and we'll see you here next time.